What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Frankie J. Lopez. Hope you're all doing well. Before we get into it, please follow the podcast page, allow for notifications, rate the podcast. Also follow me on social media at Frequency Studios _ on Instagram and at Frequency Studios on TikTok. Consistent content, including a few album reviews that don't make the podcast. Going over my top 5 favorite albums from the month of April. Not as stacked as March in terms of quantity, but definitely some high quality projects worth mentioning. Before getting into it, check out my monthly playlist that features my favorite tracks from each of these projects. Find that in my Instagram bio titled What Did I Miss Last Month? And as always, I gotta shout out my honorable mentions, starting off with Magdalena Bay's Mini Mix Volume 3. I know this one's an EP, but I just had to bring it up. My intro to the indie synth electronic pop group, consisting of singer-songwriter Micah Tenenbaum and producer Matthew Lewin. And all I have to say is I was quite impressed. We got some amazing hooks, a ton of personality. If you haven't checked out their single Top Dog yet, do yourself a favor and get that track stuck in your head all day. Next, we have Dinner Party's Enigmatic Society. Dinner Party is a supergroup consisting of jazz and hip-hop powerhouses Kamasi Washington, Robert Glasper, Terrace Martin, and Ninth Wonder. After the release of their fantastic self-titled EP in 2020, the world was eagerly waiting for a follow-up. And this one won't blow you away, but you still get some quality instrumentals. You'll find some great brass solos, pianos, and drum patterns, along with vocal performances that contribute to a chill and fun vibe. Definitely worth the listen, especially with this cast of instrumentalists. And those are all the honorable mentions for this month. Like I said, not many albums that I've been going back to. So let's get straight into the top 5. At number 5, we have Indigo de Souza's All of This Will End. I've been pronouncing her last name wrong for an embarrassingly long time now, so sorry, Indigo. But this one was very anticipated for me. I really enjoyed her last project, Any Shape You Take, from 2021, and we get a solid follow-up where Indigo continues with her personal and vivid songwriting, on here bringing in more of an emo aesthetic with her vocals and the dirtier guitar and the instrumental, hitting topics like mental health, family, relationships, death, some hard-hitting lyrics like on the title track, and unforgettable hooks on tracks like You Can Be Mean. Solid follow-up to her last album for sure. At number 4, we have Glorious Game, a collab album between Black Thought and L. Michaels Affair. As expected, elite lyrical performances from Black Thought over some varied instrumentals that feature some groovy woodwinds, horns, and vocal samples. It's a tight 30 minutes that will never let up. Some great storytelling, vivid imagery, introspection, all the stuff that makes Black Thought great, and L. Michaels contributes with some colorful instrumentals that complement Black Thought really well. He flows over them perfectly, and I think this album just needs to be talked about a little bit more in my opinion, especially in what has been a down year for hip-hop thus far. I think this is a leader in the pack. At number 3, we have Jessie Ware's That Feels Good, a masterclass in disco, funk, and pop, not only bringing back an older style, but making it sound refreshing with her vocals and songwriting. Jessie has this infectious and engaging personality all over this thing, and a knack for penning hooks that's going to get anybody moving in the club. Groovy bass lines, enticing brass, and vocals that command your attention. Love Ware's energy and unshaken confidence, speaking on a lot of topics like pleasure being a human right, chasing good vibes, even touching on deeper concepts like an old flame and manufactured love. Ware is able to keep up the excitement almost throughout this entire project and never really breaks your interest. At number 2, we have Daniel Caesar's Never Enough, and this one keeps growing on me. Thus far, my favorite R&B project of the year. To get the negatives out of the way, yes, it is a bit bloated, it's a bit inconsistent, but damn, if the highs aren't just lovely. And that is mostly due to the strong and angelic vocals on tracks like Valentina and Let Me Go, many grand moments that are equally smooth, sensual, especially on some of these beautiful ballads. There are definitely songwriting moments that go flat for me, and vocal effects I could do without, but that being said, he doesn't just stay in that falsetto pocket. He varies his vocal register, plays with different flows. Daniel definitely goes above and beyond on these vocal performances. And look, it doesn't reach the heights of Freudian, but it didn't have to. It's a great project in and of itself. And finally, at number 1, my favorite album from the month of April, Kara Jackson's Why Does the Earth Give Us People to Love? Her debut album, and simply put, it's mesmerizing. The storytelling is captivating with these widespread topics, whether it's relationships with men who don't treat her with respect, finding self-love despite that, Jackson pondering mortality, and questioning why we must live and love simply to die. And that's just on the songwriting front. The instrumentals do a lot to drive this project, especially with half these tracks lasting more than 5 minutes. There's a huge need to fill in those spaces, and the production does that well with these dreamlike pianos and guitars that are accented by the subtleties, including the chimes and the vocal layering. Her voice cuts through so clearly, which makes her brutal honesty even more compelling. Plenty of creative vocal performances where she shows off so much personality. It's such a well-rounded singer-songwriter record that's really hard not to love. So that's the list, and I highly recommend listening to all of these. Also, a reminder to check out my monthly playlist that features my favorite tracks from each of these projects. You can find it on Spotify with a link in my Instagram bio. And while there, DM me and let me know your thoughts. Did I miss anything? Am I off on these rankings? Please let me know. And until then, I will see y'all later.